This video is going to focus on using the Federal Register website to stay on top of regulatory changes. When you first come into the site, you'll notice right off the bat that there is an option at the top to sign up. This is so you can create a personal account for yourself, and this will allow you to set up search alerts, save searches, submit comments on proposed rules, things of that nature. So I would really strongly recommend that you go ahead and set up an account so that you can use the site to the fullest. I'm going to take a look at the different search options that are available on the site. At the very top of the page, you're going to see a variety of options, and if you hover over search, one of the options you see is the Federal Register Index. Note that the Federal Register Index is essentially just a listing of agencies. It's not really a topical index in the way that most of us are used to thinking of an index. So if what you're really trying to do is find information on a topic using some descriptive keywords, I would recommend that you use the document search or the advanced document search options instead. I'm going to go ahead and open up to the document search, and as you can see, it's a pretty simple search interface. If you do want to use a few more bells and whistles, you can toggle over to the Show Advanced Search from here. And that is just going to give you a lot more flexibility over how you search. So if you want to limit your search specifically to proposed rules notices, maybe you want to search for things from the Federal Register that have impacted a specific CFR part. So you have lots of options that are available. Also, if you are used to running terms and connectors style searches and you want to make use of that functionality, I recommend that you click where it says Learn More, and they're going to offer a lot of search tips there for how you should structure your searches on the site. So I'm going to go ahead and just search for some notices that relate to a particular topic. Now, before I enter any terms into the search box, I also want to make mention of the difference between documents and public inspection. When you search for documents, you're searching against everything that's actually been published in the Federal Register. Or if you impose a date limit, you're searching for things that have been published in the Federal Register on or since a specific date. If you're searching for things that have been filed on public inspection, you're actually searching for things that have not yet been published in the Federal Register. Instead, they're things that have been filed for publication, typically in the next day's Federal Register, but sometimes there's even a little bit more of a lag. So that's what the difference is between those kinds of documents. So I'm going to leave this set on searching for documents that have actually been published. And I've again limited my search just to notice. And now I'm going to put in underground storage tanks in quotation marks so that I'm searching for that phrase as an exact phrase. So now I see a button pop up that says 230 documents, and if I click the magnifying glass to actually execute that search, then I'll actually see the 230 items in the result. Now, I did not impose a date restriction up front, but you'll notice that after you have searched, that is one of the filtering options that you'll see over on the left-hand side of the page. So if you haven't filtered by date up front, you still have a chance to do that after you've run the search. You also have a couple of different ways you can display your results on the page. The default is going to be by relevance, depending upon the search terms that you've entered. So once we actually get into our result, I want to point out a couple of things on the page. One is that you have a button, or excuse me, a link that says subscribe. And if you choose to subscribe, what you're going to be doing is setting yourself up to receive search alerts anytime something new gets published that meets your search criteria. And you can either choose items that have been published or anything that gets filed on public inspection. So again, that's why you might want to set up one of those accounts. It's really handy for managing the subscriptions that you want to set up. The other thing I want to point out is that you can export information. So if you choose to export this result list to Excel, for example, it's going to be exporting the citation information and also a URL to get into the various documents themselves. Let's take a look at some of the other options that are available. So if we move away from searching by keyword and instead we move into browsing, you have the option to choose to browse by agencies. And when you first get into the page, it's kind of overwhelming because it's hard to figure out exactly how they're sorting results. It doesn't necessarily look like they're going in alphabetical order. The reason for that is under each major agency, they're showing any sub-agencies underneath that agency. So if you don't want to see those sub-agencies broken out, over on the left, you can toggle over to hide instead, and then you're going to see a cleaner listing in alphabetical order of the agencies available. So if you want to click into one and take a closer look at it, I'm going to use the Environmental Protection Agency as an example. You just click on the link and it'll take you into the part of the Federal Register site devoted to that agency. Once again, you have the ability to subscribe. So if you want to subscribe and be alerted anytime anything new happens relating to this agency, you can certainly do that. You also have the ability to search within publications from this agency. And you'll see these symbols throughout the site. The R stands for rule, the PR proposed rule, the N for notice. So if you wanted to filter out results using one of those symbols, you could do that as well. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit and take a look at some of the significant documents that have been issued recently. And one of those is on the Renewable Fuel Standard Program. I'm going to click on that link to open it up and take a closer look. And right off the bat, you'll see that this is currently open for comment. It's open for comment through the end of the month, and you have a button here that allows you to submit a formal comment. You also have a symbol over on the left-hand side that will allow you to submit a public comment. Once you click on this link, it's actually going to take you out to the regulations.gov website. The same is true if you choose to view the comments that other people have filed, so you can do that using the symbol on the left, or there's a public comments link on the top here. That's also going to take you out to the regulations.gov website. However, if you are submitting comments through this site, you'll notice under My FR at the very top of the page, you'll be able to get into a record of comments that you have submitted. I'm going to just scroll back down here a little bit and also point out that you have a link on, or an option on the left that will allow you to share a link to this particular document with other people. So if you are interested in sharing it with colleagues, you have the ability to do that. I'm just going to back out of this page. And I want to mention that in addition to using the alert features that are available through federalregister.gov, this site is also giving you a link into the agencies themselves, and most agencies also provide alert services. So let's just take a quick look at the EPA website. Now, for most websites, I would say you probably want to look for some kind of a link or tab that says something about laws and regulations. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And then on the next page, under the regulations heading, there's a link for regulatory development and review. And once you get into that page, you'll see a variety of options, and one is to get alerts on rulemaking. But going back out to that law and regulations page on the EPA site, I also want to point out that you can get into guidance documents here. You can get into compliance and enforcement information. You can pull up significant statutes that relate to EPA topics. So there's really a lot of different information that you can access through this page.